Again, on the 26th of August, I lay down to sleep. During that sleep, I began to dream. In that dream, I saw my late mother with a yellow t-shirt and a red designer wrapper tied on the manner of Igbo women, and her hair tie also with the same material as her wrapper. She pointed at a female chicken which laid 7 eggs, and that the eggs were about to be hatched into chickens. And she said to me, "Look after the chickens when they are hatched." And she turned away and disappeared from my sight. In that dream, I was like an 18-year-old boy with black shorts reaching down to my thighs. I was not wearing any top, and I kept on watching the first egg was hatched, and its egg came out with a chicken. And I kept on looking, the chicken began to grow in size. But the chicken was sick. It had few feathers and was sick. It looked like a rat drowned in water that was soaked and swollen so much that it could not walk or run. Very sick, filthy, and loathsome to touch. And I kept on watching. The second egg was hatched, and it is in the same condition. The third one followed suit on the same condition. The fourth followed also in the same condition. The fifth, the sixth, and the seventh ones were hatched into the same miserable conditions. Oh, why? I softly screamed. The worst thing was that all the chickens were not together as chickens used to be. Each of them were crawling on their own way, trying to survive their miserable conditions. And my younger sister, Ada, came out and screamed, and she asked me, "What are you doing with these chickens?" And I said that Mama asked me to look after the chickens that will be hatched. And Ada asked, "Why would Mother give you such filthy task?" and went away just like that. "Now what are you going to do here? You must leave those chickens and find something else to do." But I didn't talk. In my mind, I was busy thinking to find solutions to the conditions of the chickens as instructed by my mother. Ada said to me, "I am going to market to buy foodstuff and to cook," and she left. I was alone with those chickens. At first, I was confused on what to do, but at the same time, I wanted to do as my mother asked me to do. I looked at the mother of those chickens, and she was staring at me, apparently telling me to find solutions. "What are you doing? Find solution," said the mother of those chickens, whose feathers were of black and light grey colors, as she also was confused regarding the conditions of her children. Then an idea came to my mind, and then I went out to bring a basket made of wire, which we call ingiga in Igbo language. When I came back, I picked the chickens one by one and put them in the basket and covered it with the lids to stop them from going each one its own way. And the mother of the chickens was watching. I went out again to look for dried grasses and woods. It was in the morning time, around 9 a.m., according to the appearance of the dream. When I came back with those dried grasses and woods, I placed them around the basket into which I put the chickens, and I lit fire around them to produce warm conditions to the chickens, as the season was cold, like in Hamatan in Nigeria. As soon as the chickens began to receive the warmth of the fire, they began to be relieved of their sick conditions and began to grow up so fast. The first chicken grew up, but with less feathers, and I saw it began to grow more feathers, white in color, and other chicken followed it. And I saw the basket and the cover was shattered by the physical power of the growing chickens. And the first chicken that grew up crowed, and its brothers followed suit in growth. And I woke up from the dream and began to ponder the meaning of that very dream. And the spirit told me that my mother in that dream represents the mother of the world, that the mother of those chickens represents the mother of the black race, and that the 7 children represent 7 problems that is crippling Africa, and that the sick conditions of the chicken represent the troubling conditions of the black race in their entirety, that no part of the black race all over the world is healthy, and that my mother gave them into my hand to find solutions for their problems. The Spirit further told me that I will encounter 7 problems with the people of Africa. That 1, some Africans will not accept my ideas even when they know that my proposals are good, because it will endanger their selfish interest. 2, that many will not accept me because I am not from a rich or noble background to their expectations. 3, that other Africans who will accept me will be mocked by other Africans, and that some of those who will accept me are hypocrites and some are honest men. Then the Spirit further told me to decode the other 4 problems myself and find solutions. Furthermore, that the first chicken that grew up and crowed represents the Igbo people of Nigeria, and that as soon as I succeed in putting them in order according to the instructions handed to me, other Africans will grow following them, just like the chickens of the first mother grew after the first one. And I woke up and see the time was 02:27 a.m. on the 27th of August. This concludes the account of the dream of 6 chickens. Now, this is the second time that my mother appeared to me in a dream since her death in May 1983. The first appearance was in 1988, when she told me that I cannot find happiness in life until I return to my brothers. Now my mother was said to be born on the day when the eclipse of the sun happened in the year 1947. I have a written proof handed to me in 2011 by my uncle about this. This written proof I shall present to the leaders of Africa in due time. Oh, this world. Again, on the 27th of August, while I was in my bar watching English Premier League between Liverpool and Arsenal, my face was slightly shifted away by an unseen hand towards a wall, where I see a lion lie down on the sand, but the sand was surrounded by grasses. The lion appeared strong and sharply focused. It happened to be waiting for a prey that may come so that it will pounce on it to devour it. But on the sand were a multitude of insects that looked like ants, all of whom were as brown as the sand, that one cannot see them unless with a microscope. The insects were trooping towards the right hand of the lion. Few went towards the direction of the right leg of the lion to station themselves there, while the majority of them went to the right hand of the lion to chop off the hand. And I kept on looking and see they bite gradually the right hand of the lion, while the lion was not aware of what was going on, as it focused on looking for a bigger animal to devour. And I saw that the part of the hand of the lion being bitten by the insects turned black and shifted away from its position like a broken bone. After succeeding in chopping off the hand, those lions who went to the direction of the leg began to approach for the same thing on the lion. And those who chopped off the hand were also going to the back to support in chopping off the leg, while the lion was still not aware. The lion was still alive and powerful, but it was not aware of what was going on, and the image disappeared from my sight. And a spirit, as usual, told me that the lion represents Israel, and that the insects represent the multitude of their enemies. The spirit said that Israel is using the United States of America to fight its enemies, and that now it has been decreed that America will be destroyed. Then their enemies began to prepare themselves to fight Israel by chopping off its hands and legs one after another, and in a manner that Israel was not aware. But it will not be successful because of the new Africa and the new world that shall soon replace the old system. And I looked at my cell phone, and the time was 18:34 p.m. This concludes the account of that vision of a lion. Again, on the 28th of August, after the above-mentioned dream about homosexuality, I went back to sleep and began to dream again. In that dream, I saw an African male chicken with human head, but the faces was blurred that I couldn't see it well. The male chicken's neck was stretched and the legs grew longer than the usual height of African chickens to increase the height. The chicken was at the Central African region, looking towards the direction of Southern Africa. It looked like it was looking into South Africa in particular, but was discouraged because it did not see what it wanted. It looked into other parts of Southern Africa and found nothing. It wagged its head and turned all around the direction of Africa, but found nothing. It got discouraged and went back normal, and the dream disappeared, and I woke up. And the spirit told me that the male chicken represents Joseph Kabila, who is developing a new idea about solving the problems of the Democratic Republic of Congo. But he needed a strong support from within the African continent. He looked at South Africa in particular and found no power enough to help him. He looked at other Southern African countries but found none. He turned and looked all over the continent and found that all Africans are sick of their own problems. And he no longer had the trust of the foreign world powers, and he was discouraged and went back disappointed. And I woke up and see the time was 06:16 a.m. This concludes the account of the dream of African male chicken. Again on the 28th of August morning, I was in my bathroom to brush my mouth and to toilet, and an image appeared to me on the floor in the same manner as the one on the lion mentioned before. And I see it was a brown snake which was split towards its neck, and it had two heads. One of the heads was as brown as the rest of the body of the snake, but the other head was of different color, brighter than the brown body of the snake, and it had black hair like that of a white man. I saw the snake was struggling with the brighter head, as it was trying to bite off the brighter head, because the brighter head was drawing it to a different direction from the direction that the brown head was intending to take. And the brighter head was stronger in its power to direct the other parts of the snake, and the image disappeared from my sight. And the spirit, as usual, told me that the snake represents Alhassan Ouattara, the president of Ivory Coast, struggling to escape from the dictates and power of the brighter and stronger head. That the normal brown head represents the Ivorians and other Africans, and other head represents outside forces who helped him get into power. That the president is having some regrets about his political and economic relationship with that head. That he is thinking of cutting that head out and focused on the brown head, which represents the people of Ivory Coast. But he is not sure that he will survive it, and he is confused on how to carry two heads on one body. And I checked and see the time was 09:26 a.m., and I wrote it down. This concludes the account of that division, the vision of the double-headed snake. Again on the 29th of August, I had three dreams in quick succession. In the first dream, I saw Martin Luther King, the assassinated American human rights activist, dressed in black trousers, white designer shirt, and a dark blue tie, with a brown file containing some documents on his left hand, and a light blue color pen, which has a light blue rope on it. He put the pen on his neck like a necklace. I saw him in an office in Johannesburg. He came into the office and met a lady receptionist. The lady was a South African black lady with a white sleeveless dress that was made of silk material and a black shirt with a good hairstyle. The lady stood up to receive him, and Martin Luther King demanded that the lady open the door of the office that he may enter. The lady couldn't just open the door as she was nervous and she did not know who he was. Then she said to him, "Wait a moment." She seemed like pressed a button to call one of the big officers of the office. And I saw one white man came out wearing faded blue jeans, faded red long sleeve shirt, and a black suit on top without tie. When the white men came, Martin Luther King demanded that he open the door and allow him access into the offices. The man was stunned by the demand and did not want to do what Martin Luther King demanded. Then Martin Luther King decided to jump over the counter into the offices. The white man was left stunned, and Martin Luther King went directly into the offices, and the dream was cut off. Then I woke up, and the Spirit told me that the supreme officers above has commissioned Martin Luther King to assist Nelson Mandela in investigating the financial and other big businesses in South Africa. The office I saw did not look like where goods are manufactured. It looked like a bank or insurance company. And I looked at my cell phone and see the time was 04:07 a.m. This concludes the account of the first dream, the dream of Martin Luther King in South Africa. Then I fell asleep again and immediately began to dream. Then I saw Adolf Hitler coming down the stairs like someone coming down from an upstairs. And there were few men in his back whose faces were blurred that I couldn't recognize them. Hitler was dressed in a black suit, a white shirt with black tie. He was smiling. He seemed happy and seemingly ready for action and for responsibilities. And it disappeared from my sight. Then I woke up, and the Spirit told me that Hitler is now ready to return to earth, and that the divine world are waiting for the right composition of parents who could be the father and mother of Hitler on earth. And I woke up and see the time was 04:25 a.m. This concludes the account of the second dream, the dream of the return of Adolf Hitler. Again, I fell asleep, and immediately the third dream of the day started. There I was taken to the central part of the Democratic Republic of Congo, where I saw a horse whose body was designed in the flag of the United States of America. The horse seemed to be pregnant, but it was not pregnancy. The stomach was full as containing so many treasures. So big was the size of the stomach that the horse could not run because the stomach is heavy. Then I saw a black boy of about 50 years old with an archer who hid himself in a bush near the road in which the white horse was walking. The boy was not wearing shirt, and he was wearing a black shirt. He drew his archer, targeting the stomach of the horse, and released it. And the arrow of the archer correctly shot the horse in the stomach. And the horse fell down, and I woke up from sleep. Here no explanation was given to me, but I understand that the economic and political influence of the United States of America in the Democratic Republic of Congo is under attack and must die, just as the horse died with the attack of the young man. And I woke up and see the time was 04:37 a.m. This concludes the account of the third dream of the day, the dream of a boy and the horse. On the 30th of August, I went to sleep as usual. In that night, I had two-in-one dream. I call it two-in-one because I did not wake up from the first one, and the second one immediately ensued. In the first one, I find myself with a black traveling bag with my clothes in it. I was going like someone going to take a public transport to travel. Then I came to a place and felt tired, and I decided to have rest before continuing walking to the place where I could take public transport. I stopped and opened my bag to take something. Suddenly, I saw a black South African young man of about 13 years old running to me. He is fair in complexion. He wore blue shirt knicker, red socks, and a black soccer boot without a top shirt. He seemed to be from Sotho tribe. He was playing soccer with other boys of similar age. He left them and ran to me and said, "Brother, brother," while greeting in fast rhythm as usual like someone in sports. He said to me, "What are you having in your bag?" And I said, "Just my clothes." He looked into my bag and said to me, "Please give me one of your shorts." I said to him, "No, they are too big for you." He said, "I want it like that." I said, "What are you going to do with the short bigger than your waist?" He said, "I want it like that." Then I said again, "No, you can't wear my shirt." And he said, "Why?" I repeated, "It is too big for you. You are a small boy." Then the boy insisted and began to sob, about to burst into serious cry. Then I said to him, "Come and choose the one you like." And he put his hand in my bag and chose a red one, like boxers, and he left. What pained me with the attitude of the boy was that he didn't even say thank you. He just grabbed it and left. And immediately, I find myself at the entrance of my bar, where I saw two Zimbabweans seemingly going to work. Soon they began to accuse each other of drinking beer. And I asked them, "Why are you accusing one another of drinking beer? Because I know two of you are my customers who drink beer together in my bar." And they say, "We are going to play soccer, and our sponsor don't want us to drink beer." They left to where they were going. After a few minutes, I found myself in a place where I met the two Zimbabweans again. And another one, the third one, I also know in my bar as a customer. As I entered there, it was a compound with green grasses everywhere like a football field, but not up to the size of a football pitch. I entered the gate and saw a house by the left side and a big PVC water tank of blue color. I looked near the water tank and saw many sheep skinned for meat. There were many placed standing but motionless. Near it were cows already slaughtered and skinned and being cut into pieces for meat. I asked one of the Zimbabweans about these animals slaughtered freshly, and he said to me, "They are for the Guptas." Then I kept quiet. There were two South African young ladies seemingly helping the men there. Then I saw a structure built of bricks and plastered without being painted of any color. The structure was of rectangular shape at the center of the compound. On top of the structure was placed branches of wood, freshly cut from different types of tree. On top of the fresh woods was placed a step ladder made of solid wood. But each step of the step ladder was tied with a rope, like old African pattern of making step ladder. Besides the Zimbabweans I saw there were South African young men and a Cameroonian. And I kept on looking. Another South African young man, fair in complexion, climbed the structure made of bricks and laid himself on the step ladder. And another South African went to the direction of the head, and the Cameroonian went to the direction of the leg. And they both pulled the step ladder with the one lying on it. They ran to the place where there was the fresh meat and raised the step ladder that the one on it may fall with the chest to the ground. The images of some of the things I saw there defied gravity. But before throwing the one on the step ladder, the Cameroonian had already prepared a small spot with some cloths where the one on the step ladder would land his chest when thrown. They threw him down and he exactly landed his chest on the spot of the cloth already prepared. This showed that they had been doing the same thing every day and had mastered it. The one thrown down from the ladder lay motionless on the ground. The South African carrying the step ladder went away to keep the ladder on the brick structure, and the Cameroonian, dressed in short blue jeans without a top, went to the South African on the ground and started having acts of homosexuality in a position that defied the gravity of human body. And I asked the Zimbabwean again, "What does this thing mean?" And he said, "This is a Satanism ritual that the Guptas are doing every day to make money." He said to me, "Don't mind that guy. He is doing his job. He is being used for that daily ritual every morning. And then I asked from him again concerning those animals slaughtered freshly for meat. And he said to me, I told you they're for the Guptas. Those people are eating nice in South Africa. They've got money here. You see, all this meat is for them. Every day we slaughter like this and get paid. They don't give us any meat. And I kept on looking in the dream and see a very expensive car like BMW in dark blue color coming and parked in the compound near the structure made of brick. And someone came out of the car. He was an Indian man clothed in blue jeans, black shoe and black suit on top, without any tie. His face was blurred that I couldn't see it properly. Then the Zimbabwean whispered into my ears, this is the owner of the meat. He came to take them all. And I woke up from the dream and looked at my time. It was 07:24 a.m. on 31st August. This dream, there is no spiritual account given to me regarding the meaning of the dream, but I understand from the information given by the Zimbabwean that the dream is telling about the involvement of the Gupta family in South African politics and economy. This concludes the account of the young man and the Gupta dream. Again, on September, I had another two dreams where I saw a big flat-headed fish which was cut into two pieces. The two parts were on a dried ground. The tail was still wagging and alive. I kept on watching and the head turned around to start eating the body from which it was cut off. It had the body in its mouth but was unable to eat it back. And I woke up and a spirit told me that the fish represents China, attempting to eat up into itself the part that was cut off from it. And I looked at the time and it was 01:17 a.m. This concludes the account of this first dream, the dream of a big fish cut into two. And immediately I fell asleep and began the second dream, where I find myself in the body of a 26-year-old. I find myself in an ocean with many fishes of different sizes. There was a concrete wall built in the ocean. At one end was a wall built that came upwards above the height of the water on the ocean. I find myself walking on the concrete wall upon which the water was about 1 foot higher. I was going to and fro, one side to another. The water of the ocean was as clean as crystal, and fishes of all types and sizes floated on both sides of the concrete wall for me to catch as many as I like, and according to my choice. But at a time I began to fear, as I asked myself what would happen if all these fish should decide to attack me, and I was alone. That means I would die, but none of the fish was making any aggressive move. They were all quiet, waiting to obey me. I decided to catch none of them, and instead I began to look for an escape from all the fish. And I woke up and see the time was 01:33 a.m. This concludes the account of the second dream of many fish. Again on the 6th of September, I sat down in my shop and suddenly went into trance. Few seconds later, my face was raised towards the wall where my eyes was opened, and I saw a very white lamb coming towards me, whose body was as white and clean as wool. Suddenly, I saw the white lamb begin to develop bright light from its neck towards the head, and it was fully developed that the light covered the head from the neck. The light was so bright that everywhere it goes gets brightened, and it disappeared. And the spirit simply told me that the lamp of light has been sent to Africa for more illumination. And I looked at my time. It was 17:41 p.m. This concludes the account of that dream of the lamp of light. Again on the 6th to 7th of September, I fell asleep and began to dream. I saw a golden crown worn by no one. It was simply placed like suspended on the air, and I kept on watching. I saw a white bird fly into the crown and landed on it. The bird was releasing its watery excrements on the crown, and whichever part of the crown upon which the excrement touches gets melted. I kept on watching in the dream, which appearance is like evening time, around 4 to 5 p.m. The bird fly out, and on its return was having an Israeli flag on its mouth. The bird landed on the ground again, and I saw that the bird gradually swallowed up the flag into its mouth and continued to release its excrements. Afterwards, the bird vomited fire on the crown, and the crown began to burn, and the dream was cut off, and I woke up. And the spirit told me that the crown represents the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and that the white bird represents the United States of America, conspiring with Israel to make war and to destroy the kingdom of Saudi Arabia after the death of the sitting King Salman, whose successor shall turn against Israel and gather forces from other enemies of Israel to fight the people of Israel. Then shall Israel hide under America and inflict heavy destruction on the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Whether this is surely to happen or that it will happen were it not for the new world that will come into being, I myself do not know. And I looked at my time, and it was 05:23 a.m. This concludes the account of the dream of crown and the white bird. Again on 12th of September, I got so tired after eating food at around 11:30 a.m. I went to sleep on my bed and began to dream. I found myself in the soccer stadium in Soweto. The stadium was half full and half empty because it looked like more people are still coming to the stadium. I found myself in a passage at the middle floor of the stadium, but I could see the interior of the stadium, and people were seated as they were waiting for the president of the country to address them. All of them were young people, majority of whom were clothed in black and white, while others are clothed, each person in his or her own desired fashion. As I stood in that passage, I saw one young girl of about 15 to 17 years old, clothed in black and white, in black skirts and white sleeveless top made of silk material in summer dressing. She crossed past and said, "Youth who don't want to work." Another girl of similar age, clothed in similar fashion, passed in the opposite direction. She sighed and said the same word as the one before. "Youth who don't want to work." I saw another two girls walking together, past one and past. One said, "Lazy guys." The other said, "Youths who don't want to work." As I was looking, I saw President Jacob Zuma wearing a black suit with a white shirt, but without a tie, and in a casual manner coming to the tech podium to address the youth. It was in plain afternoon, according to the appearance of the dream. But immediately I saw three young slim boys, each of them having a jackknife for stabbing people. They were clothed in white long-sleeve shirts and buttoned it up to the last button to the neck, but without tucking in their shirts into their black tight trousers. They all have cowboy caps on their head. They looked violent and were coming to the passage where I was, and people in that passage, especially young girls, began to scream and to run away. I turned I ran myself, and the dream was cut off, and I began to hear a message apparently from Nelson Mandela complaining about violent youth in South Africa and calling for severe punishment on them, but he did not prescribe what type of punishment should be given to them. And I looked at my time, and it was 12:28 p.m. This concludes the account of the dream of Soweto Soccer Stadium. Again on the 12th of September, I went to sleep. In that sleep I had a dream in which I saw two frogs painted in the colors of the African National Congress. Their heads were painted in black color, the body in green, and the legs and flat sole in golden yellow. The frogs were male and female, lying motionless, like they were dead. They came from the left side to the right and laid motionless before me for a while. And the dream was cut off, and I woke up pondering about the meaning, but no information was given regarding the frogs and their conditions. I began to say to myself, the frogs are male and female, but laid motionless. Does that mean that the ANC will die? And both the male and female aspect of the African National Congress will give birth to new ideas that will bear fruit in the future generation. But the frogs were motionless. Does it mean that the male and female aspect of the ANC is dead? But if it is dead, that's fine, because like I said above, that the ANC, like every other political parties in Africa, will go down with the emergence of the new Africa, and in a manner so glorious. This dream doesn't give any problem, and I checked my time and it was 03:32 a.m. This concludes the account of the dream of the two frogs. Those men mentioned who shall play a role in the new Africa. I have never doubted Thabo Mbeki's ability and dedication to African affairs, but ever since this revelation was given, in which he has been appointed as one of those to do a great work in the new Africa, I have always been worried whether he will accept the ideas that are inspired from above regarding Africa, because it is different from his ideas about Africa, as evidenced in his African Renaissance Initiative, which I studied briefly at the University of South Africa with Professor Shadrach Guto. But on the 18th of September, I went to sleep at night. In that night, I began to dream. And in that dream, I went to take a bath at my bathroom. And after bathing, I turned to wipe myself with a towel. And I immediately saw Thabo Mbeki standing at the right side of my bathroom, near the wash hand basin. I was surprised and I said to him, "Hello." But he said nothing and was simply staring at me, and the dream was cut off. And I woke up and the spirit told me that Thabo Mbeki has been duly prepared to work in accordance with the new idea, and I was happy and went back to sleep. Although I was too lazy to look at my time, it happened between 4 to 5 a.m. This concludes the account of Thabo Mbeki's dream. Again, on the 26th of September, going to the 27th, I fell asleep on my bed, and in that night began to dream. In that dream, I find myself in a big hall in South Africa, where many South Africans convened. And they called me to come and explain myself in regard to the message I delivered. I was given a podium in front of all. Some of them, some in their mind and facial expression, are calling me a liar. Some view me as a criminal, and some are seeing me as a threat that has come to attack their ambitions. Some are neutral-minded, waiting to listen, and some are happy and brimming with confidence regarding the message. On that day, and at that moment in the dream, the one questioning and being too suspicious of me was Baleka Mbete, the Speaker of the House of Assembly. She was dressed in yellow, but flowered lady's dress, and she was standing at the left side of the hall. She asked me, "Where did you get all these things that you are telling people?" And I answered, "It is from the spiritual world." And she said, "What do you mean by spiritual world?" And I responded, "From sources beyond ordinary imagination." And she asked me, "Can you prove to us that you saw Mandela and all the people you are mentioning? And can you explain further to us?" And I said, "This message is not made for people of your understanding." When I said so, she felt belittled and said in a louder voice, "Why?" And then I said, "If it was made for you, those who gave them to me would have given them to you as well." And she said, "We cannot agree with you." And I saw Batabile Dlamini, the Minister of South African Social Security Agency, dressed in black skirt and a flowery top. At the left, she was seated at the left side of the hall, nodding her head in support of Baleka Mbete's questions. I saw Gwede Mantesha, Montashe, right at the center of the hall, the ANC Secretary General on a neutral mind, listening carefully to me. As the argument rages on, Jacob Zuma, the president, stood up from his specially made chair in the front row and at the right-hand side of the hall. He was dressed in brown trouser, white shirt, black shoe and black suit top. He was not happy with the reckless questions being thrown to me. He immediately stood up and came straight to me, and with full confidence and power, he shook my hand, my right hand, and placed his left shoulder on my right shoulder. He said to me, "Don't talk further. We will carry on your words at all cost, for they are true and straight." And I saw Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma dressed in the green designed ANC dressing, seated at the far back of the hall. She was sitting quietly and watching and listening. She was calm and composed. She seemed not to be interested in argument of any sort. But when Zuma came to me and said his words, she nodded in support of him. And immediately in that dream, my mind turned to where I saw Zizi Kodwa, the spokesperson of the ANC. He was preparing an office for me in which I would start work. The office had bluish raw carpet. The wall was painted in white, and there was brown curtain covering the window glass of the wall. He put a big brown table and a black swivel chair, and immediately that section of the dream was cut off. And immediately I found myself walking with Nelson Mandela into a place where he had commissioned a big house to be built. He was walking slowly with his staff at hand. He was walking slightly bending down, in normal manner of a frail and very old person. I was following him at back to support him should he meet any obstacle. We arrived at the place and see that the foundation level of the building had been completed, and the floor was well casted in concrete, but the job was abandoned. The only worker remaining was a Zimbabwean who was also preparing to go. On arrival, Mandela saw that many of his building materials were stolen by the people he hired for the job. The site manager and the majority of the workers and the supervisors hired to work there were South Africans. A Mozambican was hired for steel and iron work, while a Zimbabwean was hired as a laborer for bricklaying work. The Mozambican already left the job, complaining that he was not paid by the South African site manager. When we arrived, we saw only the Zimbabwean stealing one bag of cement. He was wearing a black shirt and a blue t-shirt. Then Mandela asked him, "Why are you stealing my building materials, which I bought for the building?" And the Zimbabwean answered, Many of them were stolen by South Africans who abandoned the job and ran away. So I followed them in stealing." And Mandela asked him, "Why did you join them in stealing?" And the Zimbabwean answered that the manager did not pay him, and that is why I stole one of the cement to sell it and get money for transport so I can go home. The Zimbabwean, out of fear, left the bag of cement to go empty-handed. Mandela then called him back and told him to go with the bag of cement. He took the bag of cement on his shoulder and left. Then Mandela was left alone with me. He shook his head in disappointment, and he turned slightly and looked at me. He then said to me, "Take over the job and do it." Then I said to him, "No, I am not a bricklayer, and I am not trained in building work." Then he said to me, "Don't doubt yourself. You are more intelligent than those who call themselves bricklayers and builders, but are thieves. The only thing you need is to work calmly and carefully, and with patience and endurance. Take over and build the house. Use the strong bricks so that the wall of the house will be strong. When the house stands and those thieves came to live in it, that is when I will deal with them." And he disappeared from the dream, leaving me alone. Then I looked around and saw a building trowel abandoned by the workers. Then I took the trowel, and there were no other building tool except the trowel. How can I build this whole house with only trowel? I asked myself. I shook my head, but I picked courage and began to mix sand and cement. I put the first coach of the brick for about 3 meters, and I checked, but they were not straight. I destroyed them and started afresh. I then began to lay the bricks again in a calm mood. I said I laid 7 bricks and checked again, and they were all correct and in a straight line. I was happy and my courage increased. Then I went to take more maxi bricks to continue the job, and the dream was cut off, and I woke up and saw my time. It was 0108 a.m. on the 27th. This concludes the account of the dream of Nelson Mandela's project. I went to sleep and woke up by 6:14 a.m. and began to write the message down. Now let me tell you about the dream I had in Congo in July 2004 and in August 2005 in South Africa, which I said earlier that I will reserve for those who can understand it. I will tell you now because the dreams I'm having these days and their interpretations are giving me confidence. Let me release it so that everyone can have his own interpretations of them. The divisions in Dakar, Senegal and Lomé shall remain away from the public for now. In Pointe Noire, Congo, I had a dream in which I was enveloped in a cloud and lifted far above the earth and made to descend down again, where I saw creatures that looked like pygmies. They were all blacks in complexion. I was brought to their public square, where they gathered to receive me. I saw all of them were jumping up in joy, dancing and making merriment. I did not see them eating or drinking, but they treated me as if they have received a long-awaited promise. In that dream, the far part of the environment was blurred, that I could not see their inner city, except the area in which they received me. At my left side, there was someone black in complexion, and with a normal-sized body stature like those on earth, whose face I did not know, but who could answer some of my questions. I asked the one by my left side, "Who are these people?" And he simply said that they are creatures of God, and that they have a great civilization, more than what we have on earth. I was thinking it is the planet origin of the black pygmies on earth, but they are shorter than our pygmies. I couldn't believe it, because I did not see their inner city, nor did I see cars, aeroplanes, or many good things we have on earth. How then are their civilization greater than the one we have on earth? And he answered me that the people are above the law, because they have attained a higher level of morality among themselves. Then I sought to know more about them, and the person at my left side said they have a good economic system where everyone sees his fellow as his brother, and that everyone works for the good of his fellow men, that there is no selfish interest among them, no war among them, and everyone work and surrender the fruit of his labor for the benefit of all. Then I asked, where are these people located in the world? And he said that they live beneath the oceans. And I asked, if they live beneath the ocean, why was I lifted up before coming down and did not drown straight into the ocean when coming there? And the dream was cut off, and I woke up and cried bitterly for not receiving information to my satisfaction. That dream left me with scare in my mind. This concludes the account of the dream of the pygmies. Secondly, while I was in Congo, as I had explained above, about a people of golden color, whom I said that their sexuality is activated after marriage, let me complete the account of that vision so that everyone can make a reason of himself. By himself. I saw in that vision where those creatures were flying in the sky, and I was informed that their human race had attained a higher level of civilization, that their transport system is not like the one we have on Earth. It is made like a jacket which you wear above when you want to travel, and it will take you up like birds and fly you until your destination. There is no accident in their transportation system. Whether this is the world to come on earth or another planet of its own, I do not know. This is the conclusion of the vision of people of golden color. Again, in a building called Winton Joy in Johannesburg, on the month of August 4th, 2005, I had a dream in plain afternoon, where my eyes were opened towards the upper world, toward the heavens, and I saw an old black man lying sprawled, but one-sided on the ground. He looked like U-Roy, the former Jamaican reggae man, whom I enjoyed his music, Natty Rebel, from childhood. The man had big beards and heavy dreadlocks. He was very black, and he was wearing a black cloth reaching down his knee, and he looked primitive. The appearance of the dream looked like a plain afternoon as well, and I kept on looking and saw a man clothed in black suit and black shoe, with a gentleman haircut like a modern man. The man in a suit walked gently and humbly to the old man and squatted down, and in a great respect and humility greeted the old man, and the old man nodded his head in acceptance of the greeting. And the one in a black suit asked the old man lying sprawled on the ground, "What is the solution for the problems of the black people on earth?" And the old man replied in simplest manner, "Go back, we are coming." And the young man in a black suit turned to go. As he was walking quietly, he shook his head in disappointment and seemed unhappy with the short answer to such a big question. I saw his face, but I did not know him until I memorized that face. It was only when I engaged in the study of African American history in the University of South Africa that I recognized that face to be Martin Luther King, Jr. I never laid that dream to anyone down to this day. This concludes the account of the dream in Johannesburg on August 4th, 2005, the dream of Martin Luther King Inquiry. Now, let me relate to you the meaning of the spiritual encounter I had in Abidjan and the vision I had in Lagos when I saw Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu. When I was struck by unseen hand in Abidjan in the month of September 1998, after which I fell to the ground and cried a lot, a spirit immediately told me, "You are a son of Israel from the tribe of Benjamin." Then by the month of March 2000, 3 days before the Easter of that year, when I saw the image of Chief Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu suspended in the air, a spirit told me he was from the tribe of Judah. The message continued to tell me that during Israel's sojourn in Egypt, one of the sons of Israel from the tribe of Benjamin was given a wife from among the Egyptians due to his humility at work with his Egyptian neighbors. And they had 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. But during Israel's exodus from Egypt, a quarrel arose between the man and his wife, because the wife refused to follow them out of Egypt. Consequently, the man was allowed to go with his children into the journey, while the wife remained in Egypt. At the desert, the first son of the man took a wife from the tribe of Levi and had children. When they eventually entered the promised land, they lived, and when famine and wars came into Israel, they left back into Egypt, in the land of North. Feeling unease in Egypt, they left again to Ethiopia and went near a river called Omo River. From there, after some years, they left and went southward Africa, and finally arrived in my village where they found a river, and were happy that they found a river that could serve them in their culture and traditions, as in Ethiopia, and therefore called the place Omo River in memory of the river they left in Ethiopia. Omo in my village was derived from Ethiopia, and that it is at that place shall the house of Africa be built. That it is from this source that I was chosen as a joint between Israel, the father ancestor, and Egypt, the mother ancestor, to bring them together and to rule the world affairs in peace and justice. The message continued to inform me that there were 5 Israeli tribes among the people of southeastern Nigeria, and that they are the tribe of Asher, the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Levi, and the tribe of Benjamin. Including these 5 tribes are other people who were in the land before the arrival of the Israelites, who chose to live in peace with the sons of Israel, as a result of which they became one people in the same nation, that they lived together in peace and suffered the same difficulties, that many of them dwell in what is today called Nigeria, extending to southwestern Cameroon, while others remain in Ethiopia. The manner of their dwellings in southeastern Nigeria was briefly revealed, including some parts of Benue State. This I shall reveal to African and Israeli leaders when they come together. This concludes the account of the vision regarding African Jews. And one of the shocking revelations I received when I came to South Africa and began to get used to the people of Southern region was that the people of my village were sharing common neighborhood with the Shona people of Zimbabwe, and that the Shona people of Zimbabwe were already in Ethiopia before the arrival of my ancient parents from Israel, and that the Shona people left earlier due also to severe famine before the people of my village left. This I would like historians and anthropologists to study it out. Now, there are a time when I began to think about composing laws that will bind Africans together, but I refrained from it because I see that laws will pin Africans down and they cannot handle it. For even if I should write any law from divine inspirations, it will not be much different from the ones contained in many ancient scriptures. Therefore, for me, it is a waste of time. I prefer to give Africans life-saving principles. But on 2nd September, after my dream, I did not go back to sleep immediately as I was pondering over the meaning of that night's dream. Suddenly, I went into trance and began to have a conversation with the spirit world, which asked me, "What do you want to give Africa?" And I answered, "Principles." And the spirit said to me, "Which principles?" And I replied, "There are 2 principles." They asked them to name them, and I said, 1, the principle of self-preservation in diversity, and 2, the principle of moral growth that will help them to get into harmony with natural laws and be a law unto themselves. And they said, "Their thoughts are noble. Go ahead." Then they left. This concludes the account of the conversation with the spirit world. Now hear the voice of thy Lord. Rejoice, O Africans, for God has given to Africa a blessing that no amount of money can buy. No military weapon shall have it as a spoil of victory from war, and everlasting glory. Finally, Africa has a big share in the blessings of Jerusalem. Nothing good comes easy. For God has wiped out our tears from slavery, and He has made you a strong pillar of freedom and justice. Muster yourself and stand strong, saith thy Lord. Adam and Eve were blacks, and you shall remain the nucleus of mankind. Stand firm, be brave in justice, and live with one understanding with the sons of Israel. You will no more overtoil to eat, nor will your human and natural resources be taken away to serve others against your will. And you shall construct to live therein, and cultivate to enjoy the fruit of your labor. Be happy, black daughters, and raise up your faces to glory, O you sons of Africa. For those who despise you shall now show willingness to serve you. Remember the days of your upcoming from creation, and do not forget to honor God, the creator of mankind. For the evil philosophers were doing so for mere darkness, and their mental reasoning has become fertile. Glorify your God, the one revenging on behalf of the meek ones of the earth. For all nations of the earth shall honor you, not for your riches, but for justice and equity, which is the prime need for all mankind. For before you call for help, shall you be considered mercy rendering. Although you were severed in all fronts, be happy, because there is a divine retrospection of past events, analyzing the present situation in practical details, in order to establish peace and justice for all mankind. For this is what the Supreme God has said, I have raised up my right hand, and I shall not bring it down until peace and justice is made to all mankind. I shall bring justice to the oppressed ones of the earth, even without price, just as it was from the beginning. Justice is not a mere fashion that can be changed by man. It remains what it is and forever. It allows evil to complete its vain conquest before taking action. Our God is the commander of justice. Africa is his commanding staff, and Israel is the cream polishing the earth. Therefore, let's go together without fear or doubt. Our God is great. Wake up, black boys, and wake up, black men, and put on your coat of salvation made by God from the days of your humble beginning. Make hymns of long-lasting salvation, for God has exalted the oppressed ones of the earth. Listen to my voice and be obedient to my commandments, namely the establishment of peace and security in all my holy mountain. And do not forget to extend peace and justice even to the island of the sea, says thy Lord. Make the blind regain sight and make the possessors enjoy their possession without human oppression, said thy Lord. Comfort yourself and be comforted. I shall replace your human and material loss, said thy Lord. Wipe out the tears of sorrows from your faces and put hope on me, for I am coming to make your heart joyful, said the Almighty God. Love one another and live morally in peace. Speak the truth to one another and do generosity. Do not judge against the poor and do not maltreat the widows and the orphans. Do not punish innocent souls and do not forget to protest against evil. For I am watching from above the good and the evils of all mankind, and I shall pay back to everyone according to his deeds. Do not shake, do not tremble, and do not be faint-hearted, for I am loyal even to time indefinite. On account of my holy mountain, I shall stay loyal to you, just as I am to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, down till this day. Be brave and move with strong heart, for I am the one raising motherless baby to be a king, and the fatherless child I appoint a great instructor. I am the one appointing and reducing great officials to marry unreality. I am the one speaking from beginning till the end. Apart from me, do not listen to anyone else. God the Creator being my name. I am the one frustrating the plans of the arrogant and exalt the ones pleasurable to me, said the Father of mankind. My hands have made the heavens and the earth, and all what are in them are my glories. To whom I prefer, I give the power to do my will. I myself have appointed Africa to grow above others, and to lead the earth to order of my glories, and anyone opposing them shall be plundered. Abraham is my best friend, and the sons of Israel are the cream polishing the earth. I myself have majestically given them as your prime best friends, for good establishment on earth. Be strong, O black sons, for among the oppressed I raise you from the bottom pit. I myself have assigned you as a peacemaker on earth, and your good decisions I shall make to stand. I have commanded my right hand to make a new world of justice, and I have made you an ocean of peace with torrents flowing it to all mankind, and it shall first flow to all my holy mountains, in order to accord easy sleeping to the inhabitants of the land. Have no fear, although crushed you wear, for here I am coming to bring up your sons with hard faces and strong spirits. Go out and come back with honor, although the one going out may be slain, but first shall he be when coming back. The one going out may go with sorrow, but will be back in joy. The one going out naked will be brought back clothed with glory. The one going out blind will be brought back with clear-sightedness. Know only me and incline your mind to my ways, for no man can save except me. I shall stamp you in Jerusalem and make you strong. I shall stamp you in the north, and in the east, and in the west, and in the south, and make you strong, said the Lord. Enjoy now your resources, because the economic dictators have lost their power. Fear no man, for I am with you. Although the writers keep writing shared troubles on paper, and they deal so treacherously, such as they themselves would not like to be done upon. But two instruments have I given to the earth, namely, the semen of Jacob as an ink, and the blacks as a strong stylus, and they both shall write freedom and justice upon the forehead of the oppressed people of the world, said the Lord. The entire earth are made by me, but Jerusalem is my pleasurable farm, and I have cultivated and sown Abraham as a seed, and the sons of Israel are the shoot-up tendrils. I myself have given them to Africa to take care of, till harvest. Yes, I have remembered once more the servility of the sons of Israel in Egypt, and I have noticed to the full the servility of the blacks, and I shall assign them serviles who shall come to them in humbleness, to put the earth in order, and to establish peace in all my holy mountains, said the Lord. Arise and take seat, O Mr. Black, for no more will you be subdued into speechless obscurities. For this is what the sovereign Lord has said on your behalf. It was without money that you did your slavish labor, and it is without price that I am giving you superiority. Give way from Ethiopia, give way from Ethiopia. Rid off the weeds, cut down the trees bearing male thorns, and allow the first tendril to shoot up. Wisdom and strength being his name, and upon his forehead a good report is written. Can I tell you, Mr. Black, the land of Africa was not made for devastation, nor was it made for despoil. But those who find pleasure in doing so has reached their end, and without fear shall there be an increase of shame for the prisoners of evil conscience. And this is what you should say to their bad women, that if they had been of good natural character, they wouldn't have exchanged themselves with another man before being married. And to their sinful husbands, that anyone bragging about his riches without God is extending mockery to his future poverty, because in the excess of arrogance shall come long-lasting humiliations. And it shall happen in those days that the prison years of Nelson Mandela shall have a long-lasting bonus of strength, each year for decades, each year for decades, until the heavier voice of God occurs once more. And it shall happen in those days that sentences in African language shall be made in Jamaica, in Cuba, in Barbados, in Haiti, in Trinidad and Tobago, in Guadeloupe, in Ecuador, in Panama, in Brasilia, in Colombia, in the United States of America, in Canada, and the rest of the island of the sea. And the aborigines of Australia shall be made awakened, everyone knowing the source of his nature. From the womb of my mother I was made a controversial man, and as soon as I came out, the breeze of controversy flashed upon me. What are you waiting? What are you waiting? Oh, Afro is really giant, and one has to say, the commander is divine. I am like every other person, created to live and to die. I have personally cherished to live a very simple life, waiting for the accompanying death. I was neither interested in leadership nor even in acquisition of wealth for dominion, until I am by this message called to make significant contributions towards the advancement of human life and history. In this regard, am I a servant of God, the Creator, or a slave to men, the beneficiaries? If I am a servant of God, where then is the salary due to my labor? And if I am a slave to men, how many of my masters have cherished me? For I shall live all and die. I shall no more see the daughters of men, nor shall I enjoy the delicacies of life. My eyes are losing sight. My blood is tarnishing. My nerves are cut to pieces. My bones are wobbling. My brain, the receiver of information, shall rot. And while I am mentally tortured and carried far beyond human propensity, only to receive informations far-flung from ordinary concern, yet, as prescribed for every man, in the grave shall moths and maggots be all over my body, each one taking my flesh for food without thanks. Yet I am not admired by my beneficiaries. So shall my spirit be sent back to the earth for revolution. My palace, the work of my manhood, the sweat of my lifetime, trouble surrounding you. The mighty tree that I have planted have borne much fruit. Yellowish birds are sent from outside the planet, and from 4 directions, each one taking the fruits desired to feed mankind in the palace. Everything is gone. Everything is shattered. Convulsions and death pains, devastations and destructions taking place. The seat is hot. The leader is gone and surrendered. India, the great ally, is discouraged. Brazil is confused. Jamaica is crying. Iraq is staring amazingly. The Scandinavians are losing hope. The Native Americans are mourning. The Aborigines in disorder. Japan is waving its hand in disbelief. The whole earth in confusion, for the center can no more hold. So shall Israel my father call, and I will close my ears. My mother shall call from Egypt, yet I will not listen. Therefore my homeland shall weep bitterly, yet I will not be satisfied, until my divine master is honored in the minds of all the living. And Great Britain, the humble servant, is respected for his skills, and is called to represent Europe for 100 years. Go there, said the Lord, a command for the restoration of the earth in the palace. Restoration from the east, restoration from the west, restoration from the south, and restoration from the north. And the palace beauty shall be restored, and her honor and might shall be adorned with materials superior to gold and diamonds, right from outside the planet. Thank you, my Lord, said the people of the earth.